Morning.
Morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Marleen de Rooy, nice to meet you.
Hi.
You're going to speak to Mark Rutte also later. What is your advice to him, your most important advice to him?
Well, this government is dealing with the refugee challenge, and so, hearing from him how he's thinking about how you minimize those costs and improve the lives of the refugees, whether they're here or the ones that will be out in the region. All the donors are talking about that, making sure that health and the way women are treated goes well. And then taking a long-term view of how do we lift up farmers and countries so that the chance of instability in these migrants are reduced because we make their countries far more attractive. And it's great that people are starting not only to deal with the short-term issues, but think of this broad issue and how innovation and generosity really can lift those countries up. My message is a very positive one about the opportunities, and I'm glad the economic situation is somewhat better. If we didn't have the refugee thing now, maybe people would be talking about going back to 0.7.
Is it understandable that the Dutch government is using that money for the refugees now in the Netherlands?
Well, the question is how far you go with that. Do you actually get below 0.5 for the non-refugee money, which would be unfortunate to cut back to that level. The Germans, which of course have way more refugees, have expanded their over-aid budget a lot, so it's mostly extra money. They have not reduced any of those other things they're doing. Now, these are political decisions. Each government has to say, how you make trade-offs.
But you're going to advise them.
Well, I take a long-term view that the more we help these countries out, the less we have these challenges. But I'd be the first to agree that dealing with the here and now, the refugees in the country, that's a huge challenge. Not just financially. Are people willing to step up and help out? How quickly can you get them so that they're contributing to the economy, and instead of not, how do you get the language skills and embrace them? This is a long time ago, there were way more refugees than there are today, but some of the skills of how you deal with that openly and wisely, we're having to relearn those things. Innovative people, particularly young people, should be taking this as a problem of their time and having suggestions about how to minimize the challenge.
For all the entrepreneurs that are now listening, what is your advice to them to become successful?
Well, I worked in the science and engineering. I studied a lot and saw where the breakthroughs were taking place, and there's certainly tons of careers in that area. It's one area where there'll always be more jobs than there are people available, whether that's medicine or the computer revolution. That's a very exciting space. It's not the only one, but it's where a lot of breakthroughs are taking place. Whether you apply that to the richer countries or you go out and you see the needs that are still out there in Africa and many other places.